Who will the Bears draft in free agent? Who will the Bears draft now that free agency is done? We talk about that next on the Unbearable Sports Podcast.
Yeah, she's got some nice long.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Barron. Make sure to like and subscribe out there for those watching on YouTube. Make sure to download the show, rate it 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcast. Just search for Unbearable Sports. PayPal, free agency, seemingly, it seems like the Bears aren't going to make any huge jumps.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this. How are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'm doing good, Brad. I'm doing good. Yeah, I just had, a nice little birthday party and stuff. That was a lot of fun at your place.
That's right.
With your kid, and it was Star Wars themed, so that was even better,
Still got the Boba Fett t-shirt still on. We go all out for birthdays. And we go all out. We have everything is decorated. I have my youngling, as for those Star Wars fans. It's literally youngling with a youngling on it rather than yingling. So this is the way. We got T-Dub in the chat. We got Renewable as well. Like that. It was so much fun, but man, I'm exhausted. I normally don't drink or like have a beer. Maybe that's why I messed up the intro, but it was just all right. It's done. Yeah, I'm excited. Hop on the show, and we are finally doing our first mock drafts because we've been saying that we're going to do mock drafts, but then something big happens and something major happens.
Yeah, and I had kind of one archived of like, I really like this mock draft I did, and then the trade happened, and it's like, okay, now we kind of have to reset and do all this stuff, and it's kind of fun drafting now with this different setup of like, you just have a bunch of second round picks. Kind of when you get to that 60th pick, it's like you get 2 second right away, and then you get that third. So you just get 3 bunch of picks, basically whoever you want in that area. And it's a good spot to be for the Bears.
Yeah. So in our mock drafts, I did a 3-round one. You did a 4-round one. And the big reason is because nobody knows what's happening in the 5th, 6th, and 7th rounds. And honestly, they usually just draft like special teamers and stuff like that. It's always a crapshoot. So that's why we're doing 1 through 4. And a lot of those draft picks, they don't expect anything to happen out of that. So that's why we're doing it that way. But also, T-Dub makes a really good point in the comments. Bears still have $41.9 million in cap space. So they can still make a big splash at defensive end, especially like we talked about Jadeveon Clowney, and Yannick Ngakoue. Like there's still some decent veterans that they can still add in, and it'll be interesting to see, do they even do anything with that? And also kind of a wild card, do they re-sign someone like Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet, and kind of shift some of that money into this year? Because maybe that might be what they're even trying to do now too. So
just re-sign people. Longer contracts to, give Mooney or whoever, even Kmet, maybe give him a bigger contract. But yeah, it's interesting. I could see them doing kind of maybe some 1-year deals with those veterans too, to just kind of give the team more talent for this year. And kind of it's like, all right, let's just spend money because we have it. So let's just do it. So
yeah. So let's kick this off. PayPal, I elected you to start out, and I got to play the best sound in the world. Just that's good. It's draft time. PayPal, kick us off. What are you doing in your mock draft number 1? What are you thinking through at that pick number 9? Also, just so that we know in the comments, I told PayPal he couldn't trade his pick for number 9, so I could trade mine because we like to try to do stuff a little different. So I traded mine, spoiler alert, and PayPal sticks to the picks in his mock draft.
I had a little sneak peek of Brad's draft, and it's a fun idea to kind of trade this 9 pick back if we can, of course. Because that early second round, late first round, there's still a lot of talent. But yeah, talk about talent. I mean, this 9 pick, you can still get, ready star players, starters. Um, where I actually funny thing, I did a mock draft early just kind of for fun, and Tyree Wilson dropped, and I haven't seen
Yeah,
that yet. He
he
dropped
dropped
down
for
all
me
the way to the
too in
ninth.
some. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I think that's a hands down. I think we get Tyree Wilson. That's for me. I love everything. His size, he fits the scheme, everything. I mean, he talked about the Bears and how he enjoyed his visit with them. So usually when someone says they enjoy a visit, usually it's mutual. So I think Eberflus they like him as well. But with me, kind of that other I think Peter Skronsky's kind of the obvious one that everyone's throwing out there or, kind of getting a tackle. And that's actually what I ended up to get, Peter Skronsky. But two, I kind of thought about Kalijah Cansey if we really emphasize and want to get that defensive interior spot. People throw on Jackson Smith, still getting him. I don't like that idea. We kind of have a receiver core kind of out there, kind of that top three. And then Valus Jones is going to be that fourth, where I'm pretty confident with him, how he ended last year, Brad, being our fourth receiver, but some people still don't like him. But, anyways, we'll get on this Peter Skronsky. You love when the only weakness in someone is their arm length, and it's not even bad. It's like a very nitpicky thing of, yeah, his arms are only 32 and a quarter inches long. It's not like they're these T-Rex arms just trying to block at tackle. They're they're like long guard arms and probably medium-sized tackle arms. They're really not that bad. So having a 99.2% pass block efficiency, incredible with his feet and hands. Like scouts say that's the biggest thing they look for in that translates into NFL is kind of their hands, and then their feet is kind of the second thing. So like he's incredible. Having that pass blocking efficiency at the right tackle spot would help so much because we've seen how Braxton Jones, he's been kind of pulling his weight. It was that right side of the line last year where, man, Borum was just getting shoved and bull rushed the entire time, and then it was we need to clean up that spot.
That's interesting, and I think Skoronski too, just my take on this pick is I think he's gonna be like the chalk pick, right? Like, we're in March Madness time right now. He's the 1 seed going over 16, or like he's very safe, I feel. One of the
Mhm.
safest picks in the draft. But then the big question is like Paris Johnson, right? Paris Johnson Jr. is
Yep.
seen as this very good athlete, higher upside. Like some other players have these higher ceilings. Broderick Jones is also rumored to have a connection to the Bears, the tackle out of Georgia. And I think that's where there's going to be some debate. But Skoronski does seem to be like the safest. And for the points that you made, like the arms, right? I don't think anyone could be mad at this pick just because of how good of a blocker he has been throughout his career. I think where I understand where some people don't like this pick is when if someone thinks that he's just a guard. Cause then yeah, you don't want to pick a guard this high because he's not an all-world talent. He's just a good football player.
Yeah, and the thing we find out is there's still like those, obviously a little bit higher of a risk. Like, yeah, where Skronsky's like kind of that no risk, like he's gonna be good. Um, Kind of these other tackles that later rounds that I'll probably be discussing, where it's like, this Matthew Bergeron, and he could be good. It's just a little bit later and has a little bit more of a downfall. But like, there's a lot of guys in this draft where it's like we could, go different ways of maybe we do if Gonzalez falls to in that ninth pick. I know Brad, we love him.
Oh yeah.
It
We
would be kind of a shock of the world because it's like, okay, the Bears don't really need a cornerback. Like that's not their strong suit, but man, he's a fluid player. And like I really think and if Poles and Eberflus really see kind of the potential in him of being a star too, like I think they could pull the trigger. And that's where it always comes up. It's like we can't hear the conversations that they
for
have
sure.
these players, because I think that plays a huge part into who they pick.
Yeah, and I know Mike was saying in the comments, like, what about Joey Porter? Where Joey Porter, good press corner on the outside, really kind of fits that scheme. And yeah,
Yeah.
like, I think the big question, we've talked about this, is Vildor enough at that outside corner, right? And Vildor sucked 2 years ago. Last year, he wasn't great, but he wasn't bad. Like, he really looked a lot better in the system. Then he got banged up, wasn't out there. And then the big question, what do you do with Gordon as well? But let's keep moving on. So Skoronski at pick number 9.
Yeah.
Now we're going all the way down to 54. And this is where, like you were saying, there's a lot of talent in between 9 and 54, like kind of at the borderline of that first round pick that, we traded away our early second for Chase Claypool. So we're going all the way down to 54. Take us through what was going on.
Yeah. Hey, people are wondering the history of the PayPal name.
Oh, yeah,
maybe,
they are.
hey, maybe that'd be a little bonus content. If we get a certain amount of likes, or maybe we get, maybe we get a certain amount of subscribers. Yeah, we'll hold it in the box, and then we'll
I'm
we'll
actually
leave that one
curious
up.
too. I actually don't know this too, Jim. Like,
Yeah.
Jim. So for those listening for the podcast, Jim's asking, where did Johnny get the nickname PayPal? And Renewable saying, because he's always been money.
Fun fact, my name's not even Johnny too. So that's the funny thing. It's Blake. So
yeah, his name is Blake, but he nickname is Johnny PayPal. So I'm curious. We got to figure this out someday. We got to
we'll keep everyone guessing. Maybe people will start having, conspiracy theories of how I got my name or something.
So take us through pick 54. But yeah, we got to schedule like a history session. I'm curious myself. So
yeah, the pick 54. I don't know about you, Brett. Every time I do this pick, it's always Tanner McKee. I'm not gonna get Tanner McKee. Like, I'm not
the quarterback.
I'm not gonna get a quarterback from Stanford. No. Diane Henley, I'm not gonna get you. We do not need a linebacker anymore. We do not. We're good at that. Maybe if we didn't do the linebackers, maybe I'd look a little bit more into him. And then I don't know I don't know if I botched that, but he's someone I really like. People are kind of saying he might shift to that D tackle spot just because of his size. I mean, he's 6'2", 280, and this guy was running a 4.49 at 282 pounds. So he's a freak athlete, really fast, very athletic. But the thing is, I know, Brett, we talked about this little pre-show, is like, kind of, does he have that technique? It kind of reminds me of like Andre Carter, and Andre Carter just doesn't really have the size. Like, he doesn't have that strength. I mean, only putting up 11 or 13 bench press. Like, so it's like, that's a big red flag at the edge spot, especially when you're playing at a 4-3 rather than a 3-4. But Adebaware, I mean, he's a freak athlete, and I think he has that huge upside that we really hope for, and he still had great production with the 14.9% win rate at the edge spot at Northwestern. So I really like this pick, and it always seems like the Bears kind of fall to this guy. So I think it's a sign, Brad.
I agree with you. So assessing this pick, you pick him up at Adebaware. Yet again, probably butchering that at pick 54. Yeah, he's always there. He's always like, we use PFF to do our mock drafts because I think like the Football Outsiders, whatever it was, that one's terrible. Like, that one gives you everybody. You can draft Kalijah Cansey in the 3rd round. Like, it's really bad. But this one, PFF does have some of their own bias, like obviously riddled through it. But yeah, I'm the one, for those that are watching, I'm the one that put together this graphic, and I want to explain myself when I put his weakness is playing football because it's so savage. But the reason was, I was putting this together and I'm like, okay, he doesn't have great hand technique. He doesn't have great like feet. He doesn't have great, like, it's everything about like playing football. He needs to be coached up. He's truly a project. And I think a lot of people think that you just add him in the 2nd round and he's going to go. The way that he has won in college is just being an insane athlete. Like, amazing first step quickness, amazing everything. It's just that coaching. If the Bears feel like they can coach him up, this guy can be unbelievable. It's just he is a developmental prospect because when you put on the tape, if he doesn't get that step on you, he doesn't have many counters. So that's why I wanted to defend like the weakness of playing football. It is
Mhm.
savage, but it's also very true. He needs to be coached up. But I see where you're going with this, especially that inside outside versatility and
Yeah.
can be a great three tech.
Because yeah, there's a lot of edge defenders out there where I see their size and I see they're more of like a 3-4. Like there's a lot of guys that kind of in that second round where it's like, oh, this guy, had a lot of production, but he's kind of smaller. He's more of like a 3-4 linebacker rather than being kind of his hand in the dirt and being that big, can play kind of both ways of being a run stuffer and a pass rusher. And like you said, I think it's a huge factor of do they see if this guy can develop? Like, is he going to be a guy that can actually learn how to play? Um, it would be a really fun guy, a really fun project to have,
Yeah.
drafting out of the second round.
And Renewable said Ade has all the intangibles you can't coach. Very true. And that's where I
Yeah.
think it comes down to the coaches. Do they truly believe that they can coach this guy up? Because like he's a big ball of clay. He's a big
Mhm.
ball of clay that you can do whatever you want with him. And that's where it will be all about coaching. But PayPal, let's go over to pick 61. So this is where like what you were talking about. Kind of got 3 picks in a row, 3 picks within 10 picks of each other at 54, 61, and 64. You got Skaronski at pick 9 at tackle. You got kind of that DN, D tackle with Adibare. And what are you doing at pick 61?
So, I mean, if people know the show and have been keeping up with us, I love Seika Ika. I love my boy.
You love your fat boys.
I
You
love the
love your
fat
fat
boys. I
boys.
love the boys in the trenches. I sure he didn't completely shine in the combine. He wasn't, that super freak, I guess people are hoping for, but he's still quick for his size. I mean, he's 350 pounds at 6'4". Like he can move his big old body. And if you really watch his highlights, he just shoves people. He really just grabs the guard or center and will just bull rush them to the quarterback. And he's a physical freak. And he's not just with that, it's like he's not just a run stuffer, he's also a pass rusher. So um
So
I
you're not
really like
scared off? I mean, obviously, since you're drafting him, you're not scared off because of that combine?
yeah, I'm not too scared of I think people kind of were hoping for that kind of big athlete, you know, and but he has that lower body strength that I think kind of makes up for it. Like he's a very strong guy from the lower body, which I think kind of aids in his, you know, kind of his lateral quickness or, is pushing guys aside and really using leverage. Um, and that's where I always kind of am like, okay, if we didn't get a tackle in the first round, this would also be a good time to, get like a Matthew Bergeron from Syracuse, or even get maybe like a Sam Laporta if we really want to get a tight end.
Yeah.
And then because tight ends do not do well in their first year. So this would be kind of a good year of getting a tight end, phase out the guy from the Packers we just got, and then bring in Sam Laporta for uh, you know, 2 years from now. Um
I
and yeah, too, there's some good centers as well, but I think this defense interior, when I saw him available at this pick, I had to get him.
Yeah, you're definitely higher on Ika than I am. And that's where the draft, there's no right or wrong with it. But Mike likes it in the comments. I like the concept of this, at least getting a big body, right? We talked about this when the Bears signed Andrew Billings. Andrew Billings, great run stuffer, big body in the middle. We don't have the big fat boys, right? Justin Jones is kind of like can play some of that, but you don't love if he's doing that. So yeah, I think at some point it would be nice if we could actually draft someone like an Ika, that draft our own fat boy that can hold
Yeah.
down this line. So yeah, I don't hate the pick, especially since this is your boy. Like, and I know that you like him, so I know that that's your boy. But let's keep on moving. So just 3 picks. I can't wait for the draft for this
Mhm.
moment when it's like we got 54, we see what the Bears do, then we just have to wait. You just fill up your beer, you go to the bathroom, you grab some chips, you come back down, then it's pick 61. Now it's pick 64, 3 picks later. PayPal, walk me through what's going on 3 picks later.
Yeah, 3 picks later, I mean, nothing much changed. I mean, you just kinda have to see who gets picked in those 2 picks. Like, I mean, I'm kinda running one with us right now as we speak, and yeah, Keanu Benton just got picked at pick
Ooh,
63, which is kinda crazy.
yeah,
He's been going actually pretty early
he's
from
going
the
higher
mock
and
drafts.
higher.
I've been a lot higher, like, each and every draft. I mean, I remember when he was, like, getting picked in the 4th round.
And that's the
Um,
D tackle out of Wisconsin, just if anyone's
yep.
curious, that we've talked about before. Very powerful guy.
Yeah, and yeah, he definitely looks great as well. But talking about Wisconsin, what I did, and this is a big question mark for me. We were talking about this where's this offensive line kind of heading? You know, like, are we fine with Whitehair? Are they going to get rid of him? Is he going to be, because we could save, like $7 million, I think, cutting
Yeah.
him. And then, like, do we move him to center? And then do we keep Tevin Jenkins at right guard? Um, like, yeah, what do we do? So, and how do they feel with Whitehair at center? Like, is that going to be just a 1 year kind of thing, or do we need to kind of get his backup? So that's where I was like, let's get Joe Tippmann. I love
Okay.
him. We need someone that just does not let hurries pressure from up the middle. And this is the guy. This is the guy being able
Wait,
to get
people do that? People stop people from
yeah,
running
no, it's
up the middle? What?
yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's a
Fuck.
crazy concept. Yeah.
That's what a center's supposed to do?
Oh, I mean, Mustafar, he had a huge he was such a high IQ, but man, he could not play football.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's I always love how they talk about his IQ. It's like, no, you kind of talk about, well, why is he getting all these sacks? Like, and actually missing assignments, so he does not have high IQ. Um, but Joe Tippmann, I mean, yeah, he's what, two hurries allowed each year as a starter. Like, good technique, great stance, and just one of those guys I really enjoy. Um, and he still needs some coaching. That's why he is going in kind of the 3rd round. Like, he's not like a Skronsky where it's like he's perfect. Like, he looks like kind of like a veteran. He knows what he's doing. There's still little things here and there, but honestly, being from Wisconsin, like, maybe I'm biased, but I feel like Wisconsin's a good school where there's a
They
lot
are.
of, it's a good school, and like, people are smart coming out of Wisconsin. They know how to play football. And maybe that's just a bias being from Wisconsin, but I feel like they're smarter. Like, they play a lot smarter. They're not the best athletes, but
Yeah.
they
I
know how to play.
But dude, I agree with you here. I like this pick. It's no surprise there. But I agree with Renewable. Just it's deep at center. We have David in the comments saying like, yeah, like there's the center out of Minnesota, John Michael Schmitz. Willie also brought him up as
Yeah.
well. Like it really is deep, especially in that 2nd round. So I love this. I love the idea of getting a center. It's just what's your cup of tea, right? You have so many different people that you could get. Like Tippmann is just such a crazy athlete in space. Like when you have him
Mhm.
pulling, it's nuts. So I definitely like this. My biggest concern is just how he leverages his 6'6" frame. Because also keep in mind, the dude is 6'6" at center. This
Yeah.
guy, he has the length, he has the frame, and we know that that's something that Ryan Poles really likes out of his centers. So I I really
Hey.
like the idea of this pick. So that's at pick 64. PayPal. So far, just for everyone, like you pick Skoronsky at tackle, Adabare at kind of that edge D tackle, Ika at D tackle, Tippmann at center. Now we wait. Now we wait until the 4th round. We have picks 103 and 133. Walk me through what's going in your head. Cause like you said, before this pre-show, you're like, Brad, I gotta do the 4th round because it completes the picture. So yeah, walk me
Mhm.
through what you did in the 4th.
Yeah, because this is kind of my thing. Like, with corner, like, we do love, it would be nice getting that Gonzalez in the 1st round, but it's something that we don't need right now. And I really think this guy is a great project to have. Like, I'll just say his name right now.
Let's go.
Travius Hodges Tomlinson.
Let's go.
I mean, 2022 Jim Thorpe Award. Like, he's a baller. And actually, my way of not really paying attention to the combine, but watching it, he was like on the top of my list. I'm like, who the heck is this guy? And then
Yeah.
when I see that he's projected in the 4th round, I'm like, what is wrong? Like, why is that? And the first thing is his size. Like, he definitely looked like a nickel out there. So I'm like, okay, he's a automatic nickel, right? And no, it's like he's been playing outside, and that's kind of like his play style of being outside. Like, he's not really much of a press corner from the inside. Um, but like, he produces. I mean, what he led like college football with like 21 forced incompletions. Like, he's aggressive. He plays the ball really well. Watching him in the combine, he really high points it. I think he'd be a fun project to, maybe he doesn't start, the first couple weeks, but near to the end of the season, you could maybe see him learning the slot corner spot and then fit into it.
I I love this pick. I love Hodges Tomlinson.
Mhm.
Just put on his tape, right? And yeah, he had 14 penalties last year. That's not great. Like, he's very aggressive, but I'd rather have these aggressive players out there. And
Right?
my biggest question though is just with his size, he struggles in a press role. So do you have to put him at slot? Because in a cover two, you want your outside corners to be playing more press coverage. So
Mhm.
naturally, he then goes more onto that interior. But like, literally, this guy could start. Like, there's nothing besides just his size. Like, obviously, you just have he's 5'9", like 180. So there is questions about his size. The 4th round, and this guy allowed a 34.6% completion percentage, and yeah, won the Jim Thorpe Award as the
Mhm.
nation's best corner. I love this pick. So
Yeah.
I the 4th
Hey,
round, I love it.
Brad, I mean, I think we just have to draft people in purple jerseys. I think
Yeah.
maybe we're like biased. We just love the color purple or something.
I mean, you
But
haven't seen mine. I maybe I
yeah,
don't have some.
yeah.
So
It seems like I always just get people for that are purple jerseys.
you did
Like
go Northwestern back to back.
TCU,
So
Northwestern, and I found like some like Kansas State in there too, and so
Bears do love
I
their hometown guys with like TJ Edwards and stuff. So like,
yeah.
you could be onto something. But PayPal, how did you finish this up with your last pick? And then we'll recap it, and then I'll go through mine.
And this is another reason, like, these 4th round picks get me excited because it's like those potential guys. They can be, you're saying like this. Tomlinson could be a very good starter in the future.
Yeah.
And this guy, I could see the same. It's interesting. He also wouldn't really play too much, I think, this year, but that is Dwayne McBride, out of
Huh.
what's the call UAB.
UAB?
Um, man, like, look, he
Okay.
out of his 2020, he averaged 9.3 yards per carry, and then it went to 6.7, then 7.3. This guy just runs hard and breaks a crap ton of tackles, 36% broken tackle rate, which is second in NCAA. Like, absolute freak. And two, like, my thought into this is what we've been doing for the past, decade basically is, we first had Jeremy Langford, and then when we had Jeremy Langford and he was doing really well, we got Dave Montgomery, and then once Dave Montgomery was not doing well, or not, he was still doing really well. It's like we thought he was a starter. Then we got Khalil Herbert. And then now that we have Khalil Herbert, now we're gonna get another running back.
Okay.
So I don't think he's gonna be again, like I don't think he's gonna like start over these guys, but it would nice having that talent where we don't have to pay running backs. And I think he could fill this spot, maybe in a year or two.
Yeah. So when I saw this pick kind of come through, it did shock me a little bit because I know our boy Reload out there. He's asking, like, how do we feel about the new signings that we got? I like them, right? And it's like I really like the stuff that we did, and I liked what we did at running back. And that's where when I saw this, I was a little taken back because yeah, McBride is a one first down, second down, and yeah, can you coach him up? He's got all the talent in the world, like you were talking about. And so yeah, the guy averages crazy yards per carry. And I think this is definitely all right, well, Deonta Foreman, 1-year deal. We
Mhm.
could cut him if McBride's available. He is a good player. Can he
Yeah.
actually catch the ball too is the big question because he was never really used much in that pass game. But yeah, like this is just taking the best player available, and this guy could literally be your lead back in 2 years, in a year, or literally this year. He's that good of a prospect.
Yeah, it just from what PFF says about him, it's just
Yeah, Jordan Howard.
he's spicy whenever he touches the rock. I
Yeah.
love that line. He's spicy. So, and yeah, I meant Jordan Howard, not Jer I think it was like Jordan Howard, Jeremy Langford for like a year,
Yeah.
maybe,
Yep,
and
yep.
then yeah, it was a lot of running backs in the past couple of years. But that's where I think he fits it's always kind of fun having a new running back out there to kind of root for. And yeah, I mean, after seeing Isaiah Pacheco, I love kind of those really aggressive, fast running backs. Like Isaiah Pacheco might not be going too fast, but he looks like when he's running, he's going 200 miles an hour because he's just pumping his arms so fast.
Yeah, and barely moving makes a good point. McBride has fumbling issues, 9 fumbles in 2 years. Yeah,
Oh,
not great
wow.
there. He's definitely but that's where like it's too easy to make the Jordan Howard comp too, just because he's like out of you. Because yeah, it was UAB that he was going to, and then had to transfer. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, like that's yeah. So overall, though, PayPal, let's kind of see. I'll just like kind of pull up your entire mock draft. You got an A according to PFF.
Yeah.
So yeah, Peter Skoronsky with pick number 9, pick 54. You went with Ade out of Northwestern at the edge defensive tackle spot. Siaki Ika at pick 61. Joe Tippmann with pick 64 at center. Cornerback Travius Hodges Tomlinson at pick 103, the cornerback, and 133 running back Dwayne McBride out of UAB. Hey, Bill. I mean, I like it. I
Mhm.
definitely went in different spots, but this is where mock drafts, I think the biggest thing and the reason why we do mock drafts, and I'll even allude to this in some of mine, I pick some people just to purely talk about them, just so that
Yeah.
we can like educate what's going on, who are some of the people that we could get. But I like this. This covers a lot of different pieces. The only worry I have is with defensive end, right? Hopefully we then
Oh,
sign a
yeah.
couple and then that kind of like solidifies it. But you really do kind of add some some
Yes.
some potential. Like Ika's a big fat boy that could be a good interior player, and Atabare really gives you that speed and, like we said, potential.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough, like, defensive ends we could get. Like, we could just, like, get a draft of all defensive interior defensive ends, and we'd be happy, because we just don't want whatever happened last year. That was just awful, and it's like our secondary did great. It was just kind of our front 7 that was our big weakness.
Yeah, so I'll go over to my mock draft, but first, if you are watching March Madness and you're saying, "You know what? I think I know what's gonna happen." First off, you're a genius, because this has been a crazy March Madness, but secondly, you should go to betus.com and use promo code unbearable for 125% back on your first deposit. Click the link below. BetUS.com voted America's favorite sports book for many years running. Make sure to use them, but use promo code unbearable. And last but not least, you can also get in the best shape of your life by using Transparent Labs. Transparent Labs shows all that you're putting into your body on the packaging, so you know that you're not putting in crazy bad chemicals. So if you want to get started, click the link below in the description. Helps us out a little bit, but also you can get some of the best stuff in the business. All right, now let's go over to mine. So let's go through this. So Mike's saying, "Hey, Brad, will you trade down with Pittsburgh?" I'm going to run through like we said before. I will be trading down, and so I was thinking about this. Like, who is a team that loves to trade up, right? Like a team that's like,
Mm.
this is the player that we're going to get. And I wanted to shake things up because I was like, dude, I'm going to trade super far down because I just wanted, like I said, I do things just so that we can talk about it, so that we can kind of like understand the draft a little bit more in case if they do trade with someone else that has a higher pick. So what did I decide to do? I called up None other than the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah.
Saints always draft with conviction. They will trade up and draft Davenport and be like, this is our guy. And honestly, I thought that the trade was like 50-50, right? For those that don't use PFF's mock draft simulator, yes, you can just overjuice it so that it's like 10% approval and then it goes through. It's about
Mhm.
50-50. So this was as even as I could get it. If you don't like it, bring it up to PFF. But I traded pick number 9 and pick 133 for pick 29, 40, 71, and a second round pick next year. Personally, knowing the Saints, I feel like the Saints would be like, here's the first, right? Because like that's what they do. But we
Mhm.
traded that, like I said, wanted to see how this would kind of shake up. What could we do later on? And I just realized I'm showing my entire mock draft. So spoiler to anybody who is viewing it. So um
Hey, it looks pretty good to me, Brad.
yeah, because I was trying to show like the trade, but yeah, we trade down with the Saints 29. And what I also like about it too is we also get pick 40. And like we said, there's some talent earlier on with that. So if you can get draft capital, early draft capital, and also get draft capital for the following year, that's where I kind of like that trade. Um,
Mhm.
but let's go with what I actually did. So, right, Bears are on the clock. Let me play the song. The Bears are on the clock at pick 29. We waited a long freaking time, 28 picks to be precise, so that we could be on the clock. And with pick 29, the Bears are taking tackle out of Oklahoma, Anton Harrison. Now, the reason why I wanted to pick him, there's a couple others, right? You already know our love for the right tackle out of Ohio State. Big boy, but I wanted to go Anton Harrison because he's a little bit different. Wanted to talk about what he could potentially be. Junior, 6'5" or 6'4", about 315, and phenomenal pass blocker, 98.8 pass block efficiency rating as a tackle. Can play over at that right side. Great feet. Like that's where he's
Hmm.
more seen as a really good pass protector. Where I get iffy on is he actually a scheme fit for the Bears? He's not a bulldozer. He's not a phenomenal run blocker. He's still very young, so he can still potentially add a little bit more strength. And that's why I wanted to talk about him. Like he's agile, he's quick. Yeah, the strength isn't fully there, but hopefully he can kind of get more with more years under his belt. But really good fundamentals, and that's why I was like, I'm going to pick this guy. Should be able to kind of slot over to the right hand side and be an easy starter for us.
Yeah, I think it's an overall really good bet to just use a tackle at get a tackle at the first, round. Because just seeing Larry Borum, it's like he was kind of a later draft pick and really want to make sure this tackle spot gets filled in. And I mean, it's nice that the weakness isn't from I guess, lower body perspective of, I think of Borum, just like he was not strong in the passing game because he just wouldn't be able to be on his feet and set his ground. Um, but again, a really great pass protector at the right tackle spot. A good win for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. So that's why I wanted to go with Harrison. Just to see. Like I think that he's probably like he's solid and he's someone that's more projected in the later first round that can slot in as a starter. But like I said, yeah, he's a little bit more of that play strength up there. Cause also Jones is such the right tackle from Ohio State. He's so huge that you don't know if he's on some people's boards. Like, do they really want to take that flyer on someone who's such a physical like freak, but he's not this super quick guy either.
Yeah.
Um, so the tackle, we got that situated, right? But also it wasn't just drafting best available. I really wanted to get someone just because like we need a tackle right now, but also this is where a lot of the good tackles are. Someone that I do think that the Bears will love, and I actually had him on one of my mock drafts, but it was too high. But I ended up taking him off. Was Blake Freeland out of BYU? I
Oh
know some
yeah.
people out in the comments have called him out. I think that the Bears honestly might draft. I do think that they might take a stab at him in the fourth or fifth round, or mainly the fourth round, because he was good in the Senior Bowl. I think that they might take a flyer But let's go over to
And
pick
an
40.
absolute freak too of
Yeah,
an athlete.
athletic, like he
What he
fits
had
the
a
mold of what the Bears want.
yeah, and cool and
um,
great name.
great, yeah, yeah, yeah. Now since everyone knows your legit name,
Yeah.
Blake Freeland. So yeah, so let's go over to pick 40. Like we said, lots of good talent earlier on, and this guy is someone who could even potentially drop to the Bears at pick 54, depending on what people think about him, right? They might be scared off with this guy. When I see him, I love what I see because I love watching, like, when you see his highs, it's amazing. It's next level, and that's Felix Anudike Uzoma, the
Mm.
defensive end out of Kansas State. 16% pass rush win rate, and also 8 sacks last year, 13 sacks the year before. This guy's biggest strength is when you watch the tape, this guy's got bend, right? 6'4, 255. He's got good size, but still you want him to be a little bit stronger. Like when I watch his tape, he's not fully consistent because you see him. All of a sudden, you're like, dude, this guy's a first round pick. You see some of the highlights and you're like, this guy just blows my mind. But then there's times that he really kind of vanishes. And I think a lot of that has to do with like his actual like lower body strength, being able to anchor, being able to set an edge and run defense. Those are some of the concerns. And that's why he's a second round pick. And because otherwise, like this guy, what I love about him is he's got the upside to be an every down defensive end. He's got the upside to be an elite defensive end. That's why you got to take a flyer on him. And I think hopefully then the coaching can come into play and teach him. Otherwise, you're going to have him as a third down pass rusher and just kind of show off that bend because, dude, this guy, round one, top 5 bend. Like he just
Yeah.
like watch his film, watch his highlights, and you'll be like, so that's what people mean by bend.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
a clinic with that.
Hey, I'll pull up his highlights after this, but that's something I think that's one of those intangibles. Like you really can't teach bend, like just players get it or they don't. And that's where I do think that's a really it'll be easy transition of just just maybe just has to get stronger in his legs. So I love that pick, Brad. I mean, I was looking at him a little earlier too, and he's very productive too.
Mike loves him. I like Mike and I, we see eye to eye with a lot of these things. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, like when you put on just put on the highlights, everyone, like, that's when we see the live viewers just plummet. Everyone sees them. As long as you come back. That's, but yeah, seriously, it is so much fun to watch this guy. It's crazy. And yeah, he shows you those flashes. And that's what I'm going for, especially in the second round. I love it. And PayPal, now I go over to pick 54 with the guy who's always on the board at pick 54. If he's not on the board at 54 when the Bears are actually drafting, I think my brain might short circuit. I went with
Yeah.
Adetomiwa Adebare out of Northwestern. We already covered him. And the big reason why I got him is, all right, we need a 3 technique. Here's the developmental player. And let's develop him, right? Let's get this guy. And if he can't just play 3 technique, and let's say someone falls to us, which I'll bring up later on, he can play defensive end and defensive tackle. So he's kind of got some of that tweener going on. So yeah, I ended up going with him just to talk about him a little bit because he's the most mocked player. But like I said before, his weakness I put as playing football because he doesn't show a lot of those core traits. And that's where my biggest fear with this and why I want to kind of like bring this up. The guy's an insane athlete. He wins off of athleticism, but he needs coaching. He needs
Mhm.
coaching. He needs Jesus, like he needs to be learned,
He
taught
needs
how
some
to play
milk.
football. Yeah, he needs some milk.
He's had enough milk
All
actually,
those
but
memes, he needs all of them. He needs to learn how to play football. No, but he does need to learn how to use his hands better, use his feet better, just everything overall. So, but PayPal, I think I already know what you're talking about with this guy.
yeah. I think he's a great pick. Yeah, just very developmental, but I do like that versatility um of having him as a D tackle and a DN because there are a lot of times where it's like we just if they're running it all over, if we're facing a team that is very run heavy. It's like, all right, we can shift our line, and it's like kind of that hockey lineup, or you know, I mean, I see it in the NBA a lot actually now, of having that quote unquote hockey lineup of like, these are the four guys that we'll have because they play really well. And it's kind of that these are our shooters. This is kind of our defensive team. This is kind of our whatever, team. This is going to be our pass rushing team, whatever. So I really
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah, and also just want to kind of call out in the comments too. Jacob Capone was saying Will McDonald. That's another guy that I love that could drop. And
Yeah.
this guy, like Will McDonald, just for people that don't know, Iowa State, and there's some questions on just his size. So Iceberg was saying add some 10 pounds to that. Every down player, and that's where he could play like the wide nine. Will McDonald's more of an outside pass rusher, which I still love because defensive end, you can put him in on situational downs and he could really become something crazy. But PayPal, maybe next mock draft we'll talk a little bit more beforehand so we don't match ours all the time. At center, I should have gone with Weipler out of Ohio State. I'll actually bring that up. There is Weipler, center out of Ohio State at pick 61 that you could get. I went with Joe Tippmann. We already talked about him, center out of Wisconsin. But this is what we're talking about. There's good centers that we can get with this pick 61 or at pick 54. That seems to be where John Michael Schmitz might be available, the center out of Minnesota. So if we don't get him there, or we like someone at 54, 61 seems to be the sweet spot to bring in a center that honestly, I think it was Renewable that set it up top, that one of these centers could literally battle like Whitehair for that starting job, because there's some serious talent out there. And Tippmann, I do have concerns about the way that he leverages his frame, but when you see him out in the open, you're just like, whew, it's pretty out there. It's really good what he's able to do.
I'm just worried about Justin Fields hitting helmets. If he's 6'6", just Justin Fields is gonna have to work on not hitting people's helmets anymore.
I want to see Joe Tippmann with like Bryce Young behind that quarterback.
Oh my God,
he just can't see.
Kyler Murray
Kyler Murray just like, oh man, you guys need to get me a shorter center out here so I can actually see over the line.
Yeah, he's gonna wear like platform shoes, so he's a little higher up.
Yeah, so this is where, and ACATEM, he brought up, is Kramer healthy? That's the big question. I think that is a really big question because he didn't look great in the preseason game, looked weak. I know during mini camps, I really didn't like what I saw. But Kramer, yeah, is he going to be healthy? And I haven't heard much about him at all. So we will see about that. But let's go over to pick 64. Now, like we said, 3 picks later, PayPal, these guys I purely drafted at 64 and 71. They do fit a need, but this is for education. Pick 64 is an educational pick because he's also a very intriguing pick. And that is defensive end / D tackle Carl Brooks out of Bowling Green. Now, this is someone I will say, like I said, this is an educational pick. When I watch him on tape, I'm not like in love. And I think the big reason is because he projects to be a defensive tackle, but he played defensive end at Bowling Green. 6'4", 300 pounds, senior, 93 overall PFF grade. Insane. Super elite. I think the year before that was like 89.5, right? But yet again, lower level. Projected to kind of go in that 3rd or 4th round. And actually, I didn't actually add a strength. He's not the most insane athlete. I copied and pasted and forgot to update that. So he's not the most insane athlete. He is a good athlete at the defensive tackle spot because he projects to be more of that 3 tackle or 3 technique, and also even played a little bit about that in the Senior Bowl. Ryan Poles loves him some Senior Bowl. That's where I think he could at least be on the Bears' radar. 12 sacks in 2022 and 8 sacks in 2021. Wow. Like I said, good quickness. If you shift him into the D tackle role, the only thing is we didn't really see that. That's where the Senior Bowl essentially comes in. But also, he proved at the Senior Bowl that, hey, just because I play at Bowling Green doesn't mean I suck. Like he fought against all those people out there and even got a sack in the Senior Bowl. But big question, yet again, short arms. This dude's got short arms, so a lot of people are worried about, like, you want those long arms to just grab a hold of him and toss him aside, like in the running game. And he doesn't necessarily have that, but he's got good size and quick feet at the D tackle spot, but not
Mhm.
necessarily at the defensive end. That's where he's a big projection. And the way that I see him is kind of like an off-brand Atabare, right? Like
Yeah.
in the what was this, 3 years ago when Darnell Mooney was coming out. A lot of people said Darnell Mooney is like the off-brand version of Jalen Rager. And look how that turned out, right? Because that's where it's all a crapshoot. And it's not saying Atabari is going to be bad. It's just saying that if you miss out on him and you like his skill set, Carl Brooks less athletic, a little bit bigger, but still like a projection at the D tackle spot.
Yeah, I really like this pick. And this honestly, this is kind of the picks that really get me excited of like, yeah, it's I haven't really heard of Carl Brooks too much. And kind of these project guys of, if we do get them kind of ready to play in the NFL of like, yeah, getting this kind of big hit guy, kind of if we miss on him, whatever in this late round. Um, so I'd be excited to if we did get to this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be interesting. And also I gotta say, this is funny. Kyle out there in the comments saying RIP to that 6'6 center. He'll get 50 throws to the back of his head. That
They
is
will.
that's very, very true. That's it. We gotta go. John Michael Schmitz is shorter, so that's it. That's gotta be the pick
Yeah,
from
we
here
gotta
on
get a
out.
shorter guy.
Michael Schmitz, we're going with the shorter center out there. But yeah, Carl Brooks, yeah, like I said, just wanted to bring him up because he is very intriguing. PFF is insanely high on him, and like they absolutely love him. But a lot of people are saying he's kind of going to go in those 100s. So it was definitely an overdraft for this, but I didn't have my fourth round picks. I just went first round and third round. But let's go to my last one in PayPal. This is another person I like. You and I, we both love. I would love for the Bears to get this guy, Travius Hodges Tomlinson, cornerback,
Mhm.
TCU. Just he's good. He's so good. He's so aggressive. He's going to attack the run. He's very, very ferocious. You want a person like that. You want a dog. You you want a dog in this cornerback room, and cornerback is a need. I know in the chat's been going off with like, do we need a corner? Like, is this a need? Yes, it is. It is, right?
Mhm.
Do we feel comfortable about Kendall Vildor being our outside corner? No,
Hey,
right?
and Jalen Johnson, I don't know where
Yeah.
he's heading. I I don't think he's terrible. I just think he's almost like kind of fit in like a really a good second corner or a really good second corner. I don't know if he's really that number one like lockdown guy kind of he was that I think his second year it was like wow like put him on Devonte Adams and he's like the only one that's kind of locking him up in the league actually and then now he's kind of questionable
Yeah, and
ever since his injuries. Yeah.
I think overall, just like talking a little bit about corners, there's a lot that are projected to go in the first round. Keely Ringo, we talked about him in the combine, projected to go in the first round now. I could see what ends up happening is similar to last year, where we all saw the film, all saw the video of the Bears going, I can't believe Gordon's still here, right? He's supposed to be in the
Yeah.
first round. I could see some first round corners or corners that were supposed to go in the first round dropping out like they did last year with Kyler Gordon. And that's where being early in the beginning of the round, I think, is going to be key. But yeah, besides that, then you start going into more of those slot and nickels. And that's where really I can't hammer it enough. What did the Bears think of Kyler Gordon? Where should he be? Like Bears media, the people that have the press passes, ask that question, please. Like,
Yeah.
do the Bears think that Gordon is inside or do they think that he's outside? Because this is where you can draft these slot corners later, like Hodges Tomlinson. Just a dog, just an absolute dog out there. So, hey, pal, let me
Gosh,
just go
can
back
the
out.
draft happen tomorrow? I just want it to happen already, Brad. I mean, there's obviously a lot of stuff I guess we don't have to worry about, like, Pulls and Eberflus has to worry about of like, okay, all these interviews and really going through their boards and analytics and scouts and doing all that. But can we just have it tomorrow? I'm so excited and this is gonna be my first draft where I'll actually fully watch, so I'm pumped about that.
Yeah, and AC Adams says, "Hey, like you like Blackwell? Yeah, we love Blackwell. Like Blackwell's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, but is he truly going to be that nickel? I think that's the big question." Jimmy posted his mock draft. He's saying Paris Johnson, Cody Mouch, then Keanu Benton, Titman, and Isaiah McGuire. Yeah, so yeah, it's going to be. I'm excited to see what ends up happening. But yeah, overall, I had Anton Harrison pick 29 after the Bears trade down and get picked 29, 40, and 71 for pick 9 and 133. And they also get a second round pick for the following year. Yet again, for those that weren't live when we went through it, it was also a 50-50 trade. So it was technically even according to PFF standards. So yeah, Anton Harrison, the tackle out of Oklahoma at 29. Pick 40, go with Felix Anudike Uzoma, the edge out of Kansas State. Then 54, Adibare out of Northwestern, the D tackle edge. And then 61, Joe Tippmann out of Wisconsin, the center. 64, Carl Brooks out of Bowling Green, the DN/D tackle. And 71, going with TCU cornerback Hodges Tomlinson. PayPal, I guess, did you like mine? I guess it'd be overall.
No,
yeah.
I love it. And that's where I don't think trading back, especially that first round, I think it's a win no matter what. I mean, we keep talking about just like the second round. I am happy with all these guys, all this talent in the second round, like late first. Like there's a lot of guys that we like you're talking about that will drop that are first round talents that we could snatch up. And that's something that does hurt kind of, not having that second round, that early second round pick. Like I wish we kind of had that one still, or if we still had a pick kind of around that area. Because that's where I really believe that that's where you get a lot of steals of the draft.
Yeah, it'll be fun, right? Like, and we will definitely do more mock drafts like this. And there's some fun ones that we do too. I like that we don't even pick. There's some fun stuff that we'll be doing with mock drafts, but you want to make sure you stay tuned. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe if you're out there on YouTube. Also, if you want to listen to this while you're working, download the podcast anywhere you get your podcast, Apple Music, Spotify, you name it. Just search for Unbearable Sports. And with that, ladies and gents, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we're out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair and